Alright everybody, so it has been a very long time, a considerable amount of time until I last posted, and that is because my beloved Indian FTR was hit by a car and deemed not salvageable. It happened about a week and a half to 2 weeks ago. You know, somebody must have tipped the tire and the whole bike fell over, and being that it's 500 plus pounds and at the height of a sport bike, I think that contributed to the steering rod shattering and a bunch of other cosmetic damage. But either way, the insurance adjusters or claims people determined that they couldn't do anything about it for less than the cost of a new bike. So I decided to let my baby go and get to YouTube and figure out a new bike that would put a smile on my face, equally if not more than the last. And I've settled on the Yamaha MT-07. According to all videos and a couple of friends of mine who own the bike or have owned the bike, it's perfect for me. It's perfect for what I use it for, which is mostly city riding with the occasional highway ride out of here. And it's really torquey down low, and it's just a joy to ride. So it's a very sad day because I don't have my old bike that I know and love, but it's a great day because I get to do this whole process again, which is actually very exciting. And I'm psyched to try something new. It's another step in my riding career. So I'm on my way on a very noisy train to go pick up my MT-07, and I will check back when I get it. I'm going to take it for a test drive, maybe ride through the city if I feel confident enough. Who knows? We are at the Yamaha dealership, Honda Yamaha. Hello. Good morning.
Morning, Phil.
I highly suggest checking out this place. Wonderful people over here. Couldn't have made this process any more streamlined or easy. I'm fortunate enough that it is a gorgeous day out, so I'm going to take the bike around the city, around the block first, and then around the city. And then I got a bunch of stuff to do. But very good day. Let's take a look at the bike. Not my color of choice, although it is growing on me even after an hour. But man, that's a beautiful, sporty, fun-looking bike. All right. Late. Woo! Man, much different. Woo! I don't know if you guys can hear me or not, but it's very smooth, much more vibration-y than the Indian, but God, it's lighter. Feels like nothing throwing this thing back and forth, and the handlebars are, I don't think they're actually narrower, but they feel a lot narrower. Perhaps the bike is just a little more responsive, so it feels, you know, just very quick and light. The clutch pull, though, the friction zone is much further out, and it seems a lot more forgiving, so that's a good thing. The Indian was much more immediate. I don't know if you can see my hand, but it's out to here is nothing. It's only until I'm about to kind of fully release that it catches. Maybe I can change that, because I do like early clutch release. There we go. Alright, let's find a gas station. So the Yamaha MT-07 and what I like to call Tiffany Blue. Man, this, okay, so before I get into how I feel about the bike and what my experience was like, this is my third bike. So I started with the BMW G310R. Thought I was gonna have that for, I don't know, for a year or so, and just kind of get used to riding and learn how to ride. it happened at an accelerated rate, so I ended up sizing up rather quickly to the Indian FTR, the sport version, and I thought that would be my forever bike. It caught my eye. I thought the design was very unique. When I started learning about how engines work and what this bike would feel like, I just thought that the FTR was kind of the coolest, the biggest, the baddest bike I could have. So I got it, and I had it for about a year and just a couple months until a couple days ago it got knocked over, got totaled, and I guess you'd say it got repoed by my insurance. So I was very sad because I just attached myself to this idea that that was my bike forever. And it was almost a blessing in disguise, because it's like being in a bad relationship where you just think that's it, that's the one, that's the person I'm with forever. But then you forget that there's so much more out there, and there's, tons of different experiences to be had, and you come alive again and you feel like a kid again. And that's very much where I was at when I shot this video. When I picked up this bike, I was just kind of relearning what motorcycling is and could be about, if you had the right mindset and perhaps the right bike. So what was a really negative thing turned into a great thing, because I actually ended up getting a bike that was much better suited for my needs and a lot more fun. The FTR was great, but it did one thing, and really one thing only. That's not really fair, but it pulls really hard in a straight line, and it goes really fast, really quickly. Not sport bike fast, but ton of torque, and then also a power band at the top, so it's kind of like the best of both worlds. Once you get on the highway, that thing is 530 pounds with gas and all the oil, so it's just planted, so you feel secure, and it has a ton of rider aids. It has a lot of tech. You got a big TFT dash up in the front, so it's kind of this big, luxurious muscle car, which was cool. But as I rode, I found myself, I was learning how to corner. If you see my previous videos, I take it up to Bear Mountain. I go up to Jersey and try to find some curvy roads, and that's all doable on the FTR, but not like it's going to be doable on this bike. Let me tell you that. This is, the MT-07, so it's about 400, I believe 410 or 15 pounds, something like that, so a full 100 pounds lighter than my previous bike. It is not packed with tech. It is basically just given the ABS. There's no wheelie control, there's no traction control, no rider modes, no cruise control. There's none of that. This is a bike. This is very stripped down, and it feels like that. On this first ride, that's what I was getting used to. Just that feel of like a cable actuated clutch with no assistance. You really feel it every time you let the clutch out. Every time you land the throttle, you can feel the vibration through the handlebars in the seat, but not in a bad way, not as in like things are loose and things aren't of quality build. It's just that it's a stripped down bike, and it's meant to just be that and be really fun in its most raw and pure form. That's the feeling, my initial feeling that I got from this ride. Especially here in traffic, starting and stopping, you're constantly pulling the clutch in and out, flipping between first, second, and third gear. Because it's a less powerful bike too, it does require you to get it out of second gear. You don't just stick it in second gear and go. You constantly have to moderate your speed by shifting, which is what, at least, I don't know about all you out there, but that's what I got into motorcycling for. I like being busy. I like being conscious. I like being, in control of my speed and speed management, clutch management, brakes, everything, So that, to me, is the fun part of riding, and the part of riding that I really kind of got away from with the FDR, because 1200cc V-twin engine in the middle of Manhattan, you're in first or second gear. That's it. You don't need to get up to third or fourth, that's for damn sure. And while you don't need to do that on this bike either, it's a hell of a lot of fun to do. So I had a great time. You can see, where was it saying my dash? I'm 3 miles into my ride, and I'm just having a blast. It brings you back to that first time you stepped on a motorcycle. And I anticipate it keeping me that happy and that occupied for the next couple years, because while it's not as powerful, it's not at 1200cc, and it's not, not a sport bike. It's not all these things. It's 689 cc's of pure fun. 689 cc's is definitely enough to have a good time. Even a 300cc in Manhattan is a great time. I think, oftentimes a lot of people get caught up, especially new riders, in how big is your engine? How many cc's is it? And what you forget is it's not how many cc's it is, it's how the power is applied and how the bike is built. And this bike is just, it's just fun. It's egging you on to go, to shift, to turn, to lean, all the things that you want to do on a bike. This bike is saying, please, please, please do it. In fact, this first ride was really difficult because, you have the break-in period and tons of different schools of thoughts on that. But I generally adhere to it because why not? Can't hurt. And keeping this bike at 4,000, 5,000 RPM max, oh man, it's like putting a drink in front of an alcoholic, man. I'll tell you that. It's this bike wants you to rev it out. It wants to go all the way up to 8,000 RPM. You can just feel it by the time right there. I just pushed it a little beyond because I couldn't help myself, but it's every moment it just wants you to keep going in every gear, and it feels like it doesn't end. So I don't even know where I'm gonna end up. I mean, I guess I hit about 20 miles an hour at 5,500 RPM in first gear. I really, as soon as I hit this break-in period, once I pass it, I'm gonna rev every single gear out just to see how it feels, Yeah, I don't know if you can hear the little blips of audio. I didn't have my helmet wired up because I don't have that set up yet, but I couldn't stop from kind of screaming a little bit when riding. It was just so much damn fun. Even going 20-25 miles an hour is just, it's exhilarating. You're relearning how to ride, you're adjusting your style again, and that's the best part of not only getting a new bike but just riding in general. You just push yourself, you learn more, and you find a way to be in control. For those of you who've seen my other videos, this is pretty much the same route I take all the time. I just love going through the Lower East Side. I think there's always something funky and weird going on down there. I used to work on this block. I worked at Hanoi House for a little bit, a couple of years. So it's something familiar and kind of soothing about this area. I also like riding through Soho. You see a lot of weirdos, a lot of fashion people. I like to people watch as you ride. But yeah, so I just kind of took it through the city, and I did a big loop. I went from the dealership to the city. I was getting on the bridge down here, the Williamsburg Bridge, because it's usually pretty freed up, and I figured I could get it up there, get the bike up there and see how it does on not a highway, but a bridge. Jump on the BQE and have a good old time, but traffic was crazy for the whole day. But I was, even if I didn't get the bike on the highway and let it out the way I wanted to, it was a beautiful day. Like, I couldn't have asked for better for like a really happy day to have sunlight like this, no rain. It wasn't cold either. We're just coming out of the winter, but it was warm. That day was a perfect day. So. And now I'm creeping up this guy up here. I think he was on an R6 or R7. I don't know. But I really wanted to try to keep up with him, and I know I could have, but it just I didn't want to push it, so I just kind of laid off and deferred to my better judgment and chilled out. The other thing too, it's funny. Once I got to the dealership the first time, so before I shot this video. I kind of felt like all doors were open for me. So like I was looking at all the bikes. There were some cruisers, they had some sport bikes, they had some dual sports, and I guess I was like that kid in the candy shop. I was like, I could do any of this. I could choose whichever bike. So I just felt for a moment so free because the world was my oyster, relatively. I mean, some of them were very expensive and I couldn't do it, but in general, in terms of life choices, I just felt I felt like I had so much lateral movement. And so I sat on a lot of different bikes. I sat on the R7, sat on the R1, and I could not believe, this was one thing that I was thinking about, was how anybody rides a sport bike. Like, I don't understand it. They're so cool looking, but God, they're uncomfortable. I sat on the R7, which is supposedly a lot more approachable than the R1. It's just a little more upright. Um, and I thought that was miserable too. I don't know how you could ride for more than 20 minutes um, on a sport bike. I see people doing it all the time. And actually, it's funny because I see actually a lot of construction guys riding sport bikes home. And I'm like, you do physical labor for a living. How could you want to end your day of physical labor doing God knows what, lifting metal beams and stuff, hunched over? It just seems so miserable. I mean, I don't know. I guess it's an aesthetic thing, or you're just like really going fast. But I mean, I ride the BQE every day. You can't go that fast, not without getting a ticket or hitting a pothole or something terrible happening. So it just doesn't seem practical or worth it to me. If I lived in the suburbs, maybe. If it was my second bike. I don't know. But that was my big takeaway from the dealership was, man, I would never get in a sport bike, I'll tell you that. So, but yeah, this day was great. This was my very first ride, so I'm glad I caught it on camera. And more videos to come. I kind of, I'm going to try this on the highway for an extended period of time. Everyone has talked about how awful it is on the highway because you're upright and you just catch all the wind, which is pretty typical of a sport naked or upright bike. But I didn't find it that terrible, and it could be because I'm used to it. From the Indian FTR is in a similar position. You're just straight up, and I guess maybe I just got used to it. And I've gone for a 150-mile ride, so 300 miles round trip. And at the end of the day, you're tired, but it wasn't as awful as everyone says how bad it is. And I suppose if you ride a sport bike or something that's a little more aerodynamic, in conjunction with this, you would notice the difference. But being as I don't, I mean, the BMW was upright, the FTR was upright, so this is upright. Nothing's really different for me. That was my big worry, was that I really wouldn't enjoy the ride on the highway, because I do like riding on the highway. But it didn't seem all that bad. This is a small stretch and I'm going 30 miles an hour, so it's a lot different than going 80. But I did pick it up. I mean, when I went to Long Island the day after this, I did get up to about 65, 70 miles an hour, and it didn't seem all that bad. So I'll do a more in-depth, not review, I don't want to call it review because I'm not really qualified to give reviews, but the CB review, which is basically me telling you how the bike feels without judgment. I'll do one of those videos soon to come. I also want to do a night ride too. I'm curious how all the lights work, and I don't really like riding at night, so it's always interesting to try that. More videos to come, and I'm so excited for this riding season because it's a new bike, it's a new year, it's new everything. I can't wait to just shoot more videos and kind of explore more fun places. So thanks for tuning in, guys. Today was a great day. This day was a great day, rather. And I look forward to shooting more videos. I'll see you guys on the next one, and ride safe.